Welcome back to House Guest with me, Haley Lofennel. I'm a psychic medium, and this is the podcast that connects you to the other side. Today is a very special episode. It's episode 100, and so we are bringing it back with my guest from my very first episode.
The inaugural guest.
Yes. You guys know her. It's Lindsay Collins of LMC Sound System.
It's either one. Who knows? Sometimes I call it LMC Studios, and people are like, "Can you decide what your name's called?" I'm like, No.
It
changes.
I like that, keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
But I love you.
I love you.
It has been about 2 years since our reading together and since I first met you in person.
Yes.
And I've got some questions for you from your episode, but also just like we can talk about it. So Lindsay was episode number 1. So you guys can scroll on back and listen to that. I hadn't met Lindsay in person until that day.
That's right.
I kind of like threw it on her. I met her. So I learned about Lindsay through Sarah Frick's podcast, Are You For Real? And then I started listening to some episodes from her podcast. And then I think they mentioned her again on Sarah's podcast, and I was like, I want to reach out to her because the question I get most often, I'm going to give Vaughn a shout out. Vaughn's in the studio too. You just can't see her. But she just asked this really great question that reminded me that sometimes people are like really nervous to get psychic medium readings. And they're like, a question that I used to get all the time, not so much anymore because of the podcast, but a question I used to get all the time is like, what's a reading like with you? I was like, oh, this is a great way to like show people what a reading's like. And it started off that way, but then it really quickly evolved into kind of some other things that we can get into later.
Yeah.
But I reached out to Lindsay. So I just remember emailing you and being like, I have this podcast idea. Are you willing to be my producer? I was like pretty shy about it. And then you told me to like pitch it to you. You're like, well, what is it? Like,
yeah, we had a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And it was like sight unseen. Like I was just like, this is just a person that like, and you get an email and then you get, and then we were like, well, let's Zoom. And you were in your gorgeous house on Wadmala. And I was like, oh, she's really interesting. Like the concept was so kind of wild to me. I didn't have any clients anywhere near of that realm.
Yeah. You were like, this is new.
Yeah. I was like, I was genuinely like kind of, like not nervous about it, but I was sort of like, this is like, I have to put on a different kind of side of my brain to think about, because a lot of my job is marketing and just like directing and conceptualizing or helping conceptualize. You already had such a great idea, but I was like, pitch it to me so I can like figure out what I can do to help, or if it's something I can do.
And you were incredibly helpful because I think my original idea was something slightly different. It was still giving readings, and I can't actually remember what it was, but then you kind of like honed it in.
Yeah.
And we named it House Guest because I used to go to people's houses. Like Lindsay used to meet me at people's houses. The very first one is at Lindsay's house.
Yeah.
And that's honestly how I used to give psychic readings back in the day because I didn't have an office. I didn't have a studio. So I would go to people's. If it was in person, I was at your house giving you a reading. I've been to a lot of people's houses who still sometimes reach out to me and they're like, can you come back to my house? And now at this point I have to say, well, I know it's nice for them, but at
luxurious.
this point I'm like, you have to come to me now. I'm very sorry about it. But yeah.
No, that's growth. That's good.
Yeah. And the growth has been really good. And the podcast has been the single most helpful thing with getting my business to where it is today. So thank you, Lindsay.
Oh, thank you. And, you know, I can't really take any credit at all, and I wouldn't take any credit, but I just, it was such a cool concept when I originally heard it. I was like, well, I think, and now I'm remembering in the beginning, you wanted to do it in restaurants or like coffee shops, in public spaces. You were like, I want to go to haunted houses, and I want to go like on location.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, whoa, I love that idea, but I'm like a one-woman show. And so I think we ended up being like, why don't we just see what it's like? Because there's so much noise in restaurants and so much distraction. And you do well in those scenarios. Like you do stuff in public all the time now, though, which is wild.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem to bother you, but I was thinking of it from a production side, and I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. Like, it's going to be like people coming in and interrupting, and like background noise and people making coffees, which could have been cool. Maybe someday.
Yeah. We've done it in a bunch of noisy places.
We have.
Like, because when we first started, it's always been half on Zoom and then half in person, which is pretty much how I work still to this day. Like about half of my clients come on Zoom. If you're on the podcast now, you're on this program called Riverside, which is virtual. It's very similar to Zoom. And then half of my clients, for the most part, are in person. At some point, I was getting more in-person people, and now it's kind of like evened back out, which is nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like you've gotten a lot of people like in other countries too, like the UK, like you've gotten people from all over. So the option to do them virtual, like really expands who you can talk to, which I think is cool.
Yeah. It's been really great. But we've done it at the Battery.
20 South Battery.
Yeah, 20 South Battery. That was a really fun place to give readings from.
Yeah, that place is haunted. That place is like
that place is
noticeably haunted.
Yeah, that place you can like feel.
You can. In fact, it wasn't for your show, but you were a guest on Between Two Brokers, and the audio got completely scrambled. And
oh yeah, that's right.
I swear to God, it was a ghost. I've never had that problem happen anywhere, but it was like when everything sounded fine during the recording, and then when I went back to edit it, it was like it was like the ghosts were like, "Who are you?" But then we came back for a house guest, and it was fine. So it was like they got to know you.
Yeah.
And they were like fine with you. After that. They were like, we don't know if we want her.
We'll give you guys a chance.
Yeah, they did. Which I think which honestly exemplifies everything that you do. I think a lot of people, especially we're in the Bible Belt, you know, this is a conservative sometimes place. And I think you've opened so many people's minds and hearts to the idea that this is something for everyone. Yeah. Whereas before, I mean, even when you started, I think it was a little bit like strange to people. And it's become so much more normal because of the work that you do and how it makes people feel.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit about your very first reading, if you're open to talking about it. So when we met and I sat down that day, how did you feel?
Well, I was like, honestly, I think if anybody's met Haley, you're such a beautiful person, but you also have like this kind of intensity, this very quiet intensity about you. So it was odd meeting you for the first time. Yeah. And being responsible for recording and getting a reading, because it was like new on top of new on top of new. Yeah. So there's like so many new things at once. But I think your presence is always like, intense in a good way. But it's like, it's cool. You know, it's like a just different energy for me, for sure. And so I was like, wow, she's such a fascinating person. And then it was like, we dropped into the reading, and I'm not a person that really thinks too much about what's happening. So I wasn't nervous about getting the reading, but as soon as you started talking, I was like, just kind of went catatonic. I was like,
Yeah, which is most people. Yeah.
Like I got really, it became hard to respond because I was just like, what is happening? Like it was so accurate. And just like whether or not you were saying the exact right thing, it's more a feeling that the person who's getting the reading gets, or it's like, the instant that you start the kind of breathing exercise, like a lot of people kind of feel like they're being pulled into a different place. Yeah. It's real. Yeah. And you feel it. So it's always like a little bit of turbulence where you're like kind of settling into that. Yeah. So I don't remember saying much at all in the beginning.
I'm trying to think. That's most people. So I don't think I noticed. Like, I think you noticed that more than I did. But in most readings, most people don't actually say all that much. Occasionally, I'll have someone that sits down with me and they're like, am I allowed to talk? Should I not talk? And I actually, in like a private reading, will be like, well, don't say anything yet. Right. Like, it's more powerful when I kind of say it first. And then there's like a moment where I'm like, do you have any questions for this person? And then, or very rarely, but occasionally in a reading, I know that what I'm talking about is, for example, career. And at some point, I'm gonna be like, can you just tell me what it is that you do? Because I just need a word to let like all the information sink. Like the person will totally be understanding exactly what I'm saying. And then I'm like, okay, so are you, like, the reference I'm getting is lawyer, but what they really do is finance. And I'm like, same.
In my mind, just something I don't understand.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, that, it just has a similar feeling to me. And to that person, those two things would have completely separate meanings, but it doesn't matter to spirit. So occasionally I'll, like, ask someone in a reading, like, all right, we've, like, talked about career changes and shifts and moves, and I officially need to know what it is that you do. But I just lost my train of thought.
No, I think just for how I felt, like, I was definitely like, whoa. Like, this is a weird way to say this, but it's kind of like taking a drug where you're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm excited about this. And then all of a sudden it starts to hit and you're like, whoa, I don't know. I don't do a lot of drugs, guys, but I have done drugs. All right. You know what I'm saying? When something comes on and you're like, whoa, it's like, it's taking effect.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because it was my mom's mother that came through first, I think.
Yeah. Your grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know her for very long, but you were like, so I don't have that many memories of her, but you were like, this is strange to say, but she's like a big breasted woman. And it was like, I only knew her till I was 4. And so a lot of my memories are just being like in this giant bosom, you know? So it was like immediately I was like, that's not weird at all. Like that 100% lets me know who it is.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I mean, the second you just said that, I like felt this immediate warmth of like, oh,
yeah.
That's like, I bet there's a few people listening that just felt that way all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's like connecting in, right? Like you feel it for a second and then you just decide to trust it.
Exactly.
And you said this thing a little bit ago, like when I was kind of bringing you into it, and I did this for a really long time. And I know that you've noticed because you edit all of these, but I used to say like, imagine a bridge between the two of us. The bridge is getting shorter and shorter. And then we did an episode with the Works team, and Sean asked me why I do that. Oh, and it kind of stumped me in the moment. I was like, why do I do that? Like I hadn't thought about it in so long. I'm sure that I learned that from a mentor along the way. It was meant as more of like, we're both in this, like, I get people into this like imaginative state because your imagination is connection. But I couldn't stop thinking about Sean's question around that. And I think I answer it in that episode somewhat similarly to how I just did. But it's meant to like connect us in a little bit deeper, like my soul's talking with your soul sort of thing. But I recently changed it to imagine being in a really big wide open field. So you guys have like started to hear that coming into the podcast, and that's all because of Sean's question, because I thought, what if I just did it? Like it gave me this nudge to be like, I want to see if I can do it a different way.
Totally.
Like almost not like a challenge to myself, but just like, ooh, like what feels like I could get people in there the same way and feels like a little bit different. So I don't know, that might like change again at some point, but the field thing has felt really good to me lately. So I don't know.
I like that because I feel like fields are less intimidating than bridges. You know? Bridges can be like scary. It's like you got to be like brave to go onto a bridge. You might be scared of heights.
I was like, it's a really strong, sturdy, stable bridge. Because I could like,
you're like, it's not a rickety old, broken down, like, missing slats.
No bridge. Rope bridges here. I like,
no trolls.
Could feel people every once in a while like imagining like not a great bridge. Or if you're like my mom who's like afraid of bridges, I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
people
shit.
are.
Like,
but a field is like all the possibilities. Like anyone can be there.
Like, it's just a really big wide open field, guys.
It's beautiful.
It's really warm.
So stable.
so stable.
So not over water.
There's
or
water
a ravine.
nearby if you want, but it's not
There's
too
a babbling
close.
brook, but you're not in danger of falling into it. Yeah.
Listen, you guys will hear in some episodes where like, it's a really strong, sturdy, stable bridge.
You are fine.
Yes.
You're good.
But I didn't pick that. I'm not afraid of bridges at all. Like that honestly does not cross my mind.
I'm not either. And I think that I liked it because it was like, here's a world and then here's two people that are like having to meet in the middle to have this experience. So I think it worked for me. I think it's cool though that in a lot of ways, because I am always editing and listening back to the readings and I see them in person from time to time when you do events. Yeah. Your process has evolved so much in so many ways. And I think that's just the sign of you like kind of coming into your own and like taking the mentorship ideas that you kind of learned. Because you always say that too. You always say, you can borrow this from me. Yeah. You know, when you're talking to other people who are trying to connect in. And I think that's cool because they can borrow that to get started. And then they can make it their own. Yeah.
Find your own way. Yeah. Like nobody does it the same way. But if it's helpful to borrow something at first. And I say this a lot, it's like even if you just have to pretend at first.
Oh,
like and that's a funny word to use in psychic mediumship, but you can use it in like any job ever, right? It's like not so much a fake it till you make it, but like a pretend until you trust. More and more and more.
Yeah, because I mean, I think of like pretend is your imagination. I played pretend so much, and it's just like, it's whatever you believe. You can make anything real to you. And so it's like, pretend until it's like, just give it the chance to like treat it seriously.
Yeah.
Because kids do that. Kids are so good at just being like, this is everything. Like this play that I'm in, like this means
they're like
everything.
connected.
Yeah.
Like
it's like
if you watch a
stakes are
little
high.
kid, like
Yeah.
in their imagination, you're like, they're so connected to their soul right now. Like we forget sometimes what that feels like. And then
Definitely
we can find ourselves being like drawn back into it. And I could talk on end for that on that. But it's like in those moments that we feel really connected. Do you like nowadays, because you've had a reading with me, I also think Lindsay has like the best perspective of this, because you have also heard and seen like a million readings from me now. Well, 100. 99.
Yeah, 100. Maybe more than 100, because there was, all the mini readings.
We've backlogged some, so there's
more.
Oh yeah, and there's more.
And the in-person readings, the ones at Candlefish, that one blew me away.
The ones that we didn't necessarily record. Yeah, group readings are so fun. But so you have seen and like literally experienced a lot at this point. Do you ever, I have a few questions around that for you.
Mm-hmm.
You said this one time, you're like, gosh, like in the middle of that reading, you could even feel them coming in.
Yeah.
Like where you almost, and not almost, but like you even knew who it was before I did.
Yeah.
Do you have any, that I am not surprised by that at all. Because anybody can do what it is that I'm doing. And sometimes when we're spectators to it, and it's like, gosh, I wonder if Haley's about to say uncle. Mm-hmm. And then it's uncle, or whether I say it or the person I'm sitting
always
with,
giving my own reading during your readings. Always. It's not on purpose, not because I'm like, it's not a competitive thing. I don't even really realize that I'm doing it, but I'm like,
because you're like,
I feel it just as much.
Yeah. Like I wonder,
sometimes I have gotten it right when you have gotten it wrong.
Yes.
It's not about getting it right or wrong, but I'm like, I knew that.
Like you knew it.
I knew it.
You knew it.
Because I'm not on blast. I can just be back there. You know, I have way less attachment to my own thoughts. They're just kind of going as I'm sitting there listening quietly. I don't have to talk. I don't have to say anything.
The podcast is like an added element of like,
awareness.
You like can see me sometimes get nervous because I'm like, and then I know I'm too much in my head, but I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. It's fine.
It's amazing to watch.
And sometimes I am wrong, but I can feel it sometimes. And then you've told me before, you're like, gosh, like I felt like I knew that. Mm-hmm. I was like, because you did, because you knew it. Do you feel like even outside of these circumstances, like even more kind of connected into yourself, to other people?
Like, yes, night and day. Like to the point that I've had some losses recently this year that were tough. And the other day something happened, and instead of being really overtaken by the grief, I just started talking to this person, which is something I would have never consciously done because no one had ever shown me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of like you think about it and you get overwhelmed with like how much you miss them. But the idea of psychic mediumship and just watching you do what you do and really being, and you really do believe it, that you're like, anyone can do this. Yeah. Like it's very empowering to sit and be able to witness these, because then I'm like, oh, I can just say, what's up? Or I imagine what he would say to me, this person.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because it's definitely helped me see them as not gone. Yeah. Which I think before it was very much like a here or not here.
Yeah, right.
And now it's like, not that.
When you like imagine them or what they would say,
I
mean, that's it. Like we bypass it all the time because we think it's just us coming up with shit. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that's just me imagining that. Well, how else are they supposed to reach you? Like it is one of our senses that we overlook all the time. It's like we can see, hear, and know things. And when it comes through in our imagination, it's how they're connecting in with us, especially as adults. Children can kind of project their imagination into these different things, and they don't know yet that it's not what they're supposed to be doing or not how they're supposed to see, hear, and know things. So when we get older and we're imagining things, hopefully, right? Because some people even lose connection with that, but there's always a way to get it back. And by imagining, it can be like an auditory thing too. Because I did have one person, I think she's on the podcast, I can't remember, that told me that she literally can't like imagine things. But
like she can't imagine them talking to her, or she can't imagine
she
at
like
all?
Doesn't see pictures in her head.
Wow.
And that might be a thing for like a certain percent of the population. But when you're imagining things and whatever that means to you, that is connection. And when we're so our mind will do this thing where we start to imagine it. And then like you being like, I'm just going to talk to this person. I'm just going to like say, and I say this on the podcast all the time, just say, hey, hi, hello.
Yeah.
I do that in my head when they're coming in and because I feel them coming in and it's just like an automatic thing for me now. And I accept it so much that then they just start talking.
Yeah.
Or giving me feelings that turns into an interpretation of talking, but they will play with our imagination and then our rational side of ourselves will start seeping into and then all of a sudden we'll think we've gotten this like horrible message or this thing that they're like scaring us. And there's so many reasons behind it. Like anything that we grew up watching, hearing, Are You Afraid of the Dark? I used to love that show.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's the funny thing is I'm like very, very scared. Like I don't love scary stuff.
You don't?
No.
I love scary stuff.
Easily scared. Like I have such a vivid imagination that like it borderline becomes indistinguishable for me to be like, that's not real. Like I'm easy
like
to buy in. Like
it.
I buy in super easy. And then it's like my reality. So I'm like things that get scary. I like to, Jeremy's always making fun of me because he's like, I write these kind of like suspenseful, scary stories. Yeah. And he's like, but you don't like scary stuff. And I'm like, I know.
Wait, I'm also so surprised that you took me on as a client.
I know. That's why I was like, can I do this?
Is this okay?
But honestly, never once has, probably because my first experience with psychic mediumship was so positive and it wasn't anything scary that like, they never come in with scary messages. It's always just like, kind of just a reminder of who I am. It's never like on May 14th, this is going to happen to you. It's never like,
yeah, because they don't want to like stop you in your path. So that's like our imagination will give us scary stuff. And that's when you just say, okay, great. That's either my ego. I don't need you right now. And you've heard me say this a million times. Our ego is important for other things. It's not for connecting in. Or it's just whatever you want to call it. It's
anxiety.
Our mind. Yes. Like being like, let me come up with this really scary thing. And not to leave a lot of the population out. I'm only speaking from my own experience. I became a lot more scared of life once I had kids. Or death, rather, is what I want to say. Like, I'm more scared of death now that I have children.
Totally.
Like, not that I didn't think about it, but I definitely wasn't afraid of it before.
No, I wasn't on the lookout. Now, when I first was a new mom, I would have like crazy intrusive thoughts, which I think a lot of moms have.
Right.
Like it would be like insane stuff. Like it would just be like, what if I just like the car door opens and their car seat falls out on the highway? I mean, like there's no reason to think that would happen. Like it's just like you start to be like on the lookout for all the terrible things that could happen to this thing I've reframed it as they've gotten older into just like, it is just, that's how much they mean to you that you're like, oh my God, like I can't lose this.
Yeah. Like I can't lose this. They can't lose me sort of thing. Like, intrusive thoughts is like it is it. And so sometimes I'm like, that's an intrusive thought. This is connecting in. And when it's connecting in, it's good, calm, and neutral.
Right.
Neutral is an important word in that because sometimes it really is just neutral. Like it almost means nothing. Mm-hmm. And it's just their way of being like, remember when we ate cherry pie? Mm-hmm. Like it's so nothing. Like has no real, and even that memory, it might bring up a memory and that might just be like, yeah. Like it wasn't that cherry pie is not odd for us to eat.
Right.
It's odd for me to eat. That was a weird example for me to get.
I love cherry pie.
Oh, I love that. It's not odd for you.
I love it.
But that is like how we start connecting in. And then it can get like so much more nuanced from there once we know that we're connected in. And occasionally I will get a message. If someone's like, people will come in and ask me this all the time. Like, can you tell me about my health of so-and-so or health for myself? And this is just advice for anyone. Like if you're worried about it, you just go get it checked out because it's using up energy. Like likely nothing's wrong, but it's you thinking that something's wrong is using up energy that could be placed elsewhere. And so usually their advice from the other side is, well, just go do that doctor's appointment that you keep avoiding. Mm-hmm. For the good, the bad, the better, because it's using up your mental energy. So then at least you can like clear that from your plate. But all of that is just to say, so you have felt like people coming in since this whole thing has started.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's changed too. Like I used to be like, I was actively being like, okay, let me try to say something to them. And now it's more of like a weird, like I just shift into it kind of automatically. I've shortened that, like, let me plan to do this. It just kind of happens and I recognize it when it happens.
Yeah.
And it's also changed like how it's not so much me talking to them as it is them talking to me.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like, I think it'll just keep evolving too. I mean, it seems to get more nuanced, but it's also, like you said, it's usually just like a reminder when I'm feeling down or like low.
Like
it's like something that he would have said to me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes it starts off and maybe it sounds like something you would say to yourself, but
but it's better from them. It's better from him because I'm like, it's not me trying to pump myself up. This is actually like how he would have treated me in life. Yeah. And it helps because that's not around now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get to like use that connect in a totally just more guided way.
Totally.
Do you ever feel your grandmother coming in? Since I know, so you only knew her until you were about 4 years old. Mm-hmm. So it's been a while, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
34 years.
Yeah. But since connecting in with her through our reading, does she ever kind of like pop into your awareness?
Yeah, she does. She pops in mostly through music, which is interesting because, I think because I don't have that many like, I can barely remember her voice or there's like that blurry line of like stories people tell you about them. And it's like, is that really your memory or not? Yeah. But she was like a complex character, as we all are, I guess. But there's a lot, and you nailed it in the reading. It was like she was very misunderstood in life, and I think came off as like kind of a tough person, like not unloving, but just sort of guarded and maybe cold would be like the thing that probably her kids would say. But she looked like Patsy Cline kind of. And so like weirdly she's beautiful. Yeah. But I have a picture of her on my piano that I kind of put out after she came in. And the resemblance is so uncanny that it's like, I love music and I'm always making playlists for myself. And like Patsy Cline kept coming up after that. And it would come on at like times when I was very like, stressed out, or which I am a lot, or like weak feeling like she is this kind of formidable person. It's like I carry on. So it's like, but Patsy Cline's also so like, kind of her music's kind of sad, but beautiful. So it's like, she's really a lot like her, or I've made her a lot like her in my mind, I guess.
And they know that, like, if you've made that correlation, they're like, cool, we'll show up that way.
Yeah.
Like that's,
and she does,
as easy as that. And talk about things that we just like skip over all the time. Like and it doesn't matter. Like honestly, to them, they don't have hurt feelings. So if like Patsy Cline on her end is making you feel good, but if like adding the double meaning of like that's Patsy Cline and my grandmother and this like guide that I have from the other side, if that's even more helpful, then take it, and
it
just
is.
Like know that that's them. That's like they know what you're thinking, and so they'll keep coming through that way until we decide to change it.
That's the trippy thing is like I'll be having a thought completely unrelated to her about something that I'm struggling with, and it's like that song will come on then, and it's like, oh, you can hear what I'm thinking, and you know that this is like a moment that I need this sort of, even just an energy. It's like more like an energy from her. I hear more like auditory, like actual words from people that I knew longer. But for her, it's always just like a vibe, for lack of a better word.
I love it. Tell us more about the auditory words.
I mean, like, just like it'll be the person, like I'm really good at doing impressions, and like I've always done impressions since I was a kid. And it's one of my, so I can nail people's voices, and I pay a lot of attention to how they speak.
Wait, can you
I also listen to, yes, I can. I could do a really good, but I won't. People always want me do it for them, but I'm like, they never think it's them because it's like a caricature of their voice. But
I love it.
It's so I have like these strong vocal memories for people's voices and how they like,
because you're so like musically in tune.
Yeah,
you can just really hear it, I bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even when I play music, I play mostly by ear. I was never really good at reading music, even though I can stumble through it. But I would just be like, just play it for me. My teacher would be like, why don't you just read the notes? And I was like, just play it for me. And I could hear it and then be like, now I can play it, but I can't. Yeah. So I have these like kind of locked in memories of people's voices, and I can hear them talking in their voice.
Like in your head, you hear them talking in their voice. See, that's like next level.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yes. It really is. Because what will happen is you'll start to hear, like you'll connect in and you'll ask someone to come forward and just be like, gosh, like I just feel like I need some extra support. And so you'll start to hear it, and you'll start to hear it in your own voice. And the next thing that happens is you'll start to hear it in their voice.
Wow.
Like it will be kind of in your voice. Then all of a sudden there's like a word that comes in that's in their voice. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, there's like a sentence in their voice. And then there's like a smell and a presence and just something extra where then it kind of like trips you out just for a second where you're like, I am somewhat not here anymore, and like something is with me and they are just like talking with you. I can hear like my loved ones' voices, and I say loved ones, it's a funny word for it because most of the people that I know from my family who have passed away, I would not have called them that in life. But that's how I understand them to be now, because I do know that they like guide and protect me from the other side. But that is like a true, when you hear it in their own voice, and especially because you have that gift too, you probably get it even more. Like, you can put it in their own voice, or then sometimes they'll say something you're like, I wouldn't have said it that way to myself.
It's completely unique. It's completely outside of how I
that's
speak.
That's something they would say.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's very cool. And it's been, like honestly, it's not something I think that I'm practicing, but I think my relationship with you and just the work that you do, I think that I'm probably inadvertently practicing it more than I mean,
for sure.
like
sorry, Lindsay, I
love it.
It's
today. Great. It's like working out without realizing you're working out. You're just like, cool. I'm getting so much better at this, and I'm not even. It doesn't feel like I'm like I don't feel any attachment to like if I get better. Yeah, it just does get better.
Yeah. And then there's, I think, one other person that we connected in with on episode 1, a friend of yours.
He was a boyfriend of a friend of mine from high school. Yeah. And that one was probably the most strange because I had not forgotten him. I have like a very good memory, but I just hadn't thought about him. Yeah. In a while. And I was like, sort of like, why are you here?
We don't, right? Like we're not supposed to completely think about them all the time, right?
No, because I didn't know him for that long, but he came through and I was like, why are you here? And then it was still confusing. Like I knew who it was based on what you were saying. But I just couldn't figure out. I was like, what does he want? Yeah. I think was my question. I was like, what do you want? Why are you here? Yeah. What do you want? Because he wasn't, he was a very troubled person and he ended up taking his own life. And it really, really sent my friend on a path that was hard to come back from. Her life just really never, it has now. But it took 20 years of like really hard times for her after that. Just mentally, she couldn't cope. So it was weird. And I was like, why is he here? And he was just saying like, he's just proud of her. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, like whatever. Like, but then the next like week I saw that she had like gotten married and like was doing like in rehab and like had found a way to like stabilize her life that had been like really on the brink for years. And she was sort of like kind of in the wind. Yeah. And she was doing okay. And I was like, wow, that's why. Like, cause I hadn't thought about her either. Yeah. And it was cool because it was like, honestly, sometimes the from what I've seen, the messages even if they come to you, like they can be for multiple people.
Yeah.
It's like it's relevant to her life and my life and just these sort of tangential ways.
Yeah. It's like I never know why who shows up when they show up.
Yeah.
Like it's not up to me. Like I have a sense of that. And then there's also, and I will say this in readings too, sometimes there's this person that you really want to show up, and at the end of the reading, someone will be like, well, I really wanted this person to show up. Like, why didn't they show up? It honestly isn't because they're not there. It's, I think, one of two reasons. One, honestly, could be I didn't pick up on them. That's me. That's my bad. Like, they're there, and I just didn't pick up on them. The other could be that the messages that needed to come forward in that moment with the time that we had is better from the person that I connected in with. And on the podcast, it's wild because I don't know who's listening. And so sometimes like this friend comes forward for you, it kind of ends up being more of like a message for your friend, but not really, because I never suggest ever like just telling your, like, I would never be like, contact your friend.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me.
No, because the readings are always like for the people I'm sitting with. But for whatever reason, he came through. I do connect in with people who have taken their life. I connect in with people like that quite often. I know a lot of people in my life who have taken their lives. The message always is, in general, and not to make it too simple, but in general, it's they wish they had stayed. Right. They wish that they had gotten the help that they needed. They don't put blame on anyone, and this is just for anyone listening right now that's wondering. But they do wish they had stayed, and they're so proud of the people that are still here and are like fighting through it. And they do understand like what their leaving meant and the traces that were left behind because of that. But then they're really proud of like the people that bring themselves back into a better place because of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so, I mean, and that, I think in a way there was like so much parallel with, her name's Callie, but she, yeah, we both kind of did our time in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
Hers was it was a lot harder. Mine was more just like trying to find yourself. But I think the message is like the same.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's dealing with something.
You did it. Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people listening to the podcast who are like in the woods right now. And honestly, the goal, and I've been there too, and the goal is to like just plant your feet firmly enough to weather the storm, right? Like the storm will pass. Try to find the help that you need to help, or there's plenty of resources on my website, but there is so much more on the other end of it. Like there's a reason that we're all here. This is a part of the reason that I'm here. I didn't even know that until I was 33. I'm turned 40 this year. So it took time. Yeah. Like 33 sounds so young to me now.
I know.
But it's like at the time, you know, it's all relative.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you had asked me that when I was 23, if you're like, you have to wait 10 more years, I'd be like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah. It feels like that.
Yeah. But like now that I'm where I am now, I'm like, God, I'd wait 1,000,000 more years. Like as long as I got to do what I get to do now.
And I also like projected into the future where I'm like, it's also like, I'm that much further to the next thing. Yeah. I'm like, it's like, I'm already that much, like 10 years seems so, I have this weird thing that's been happening to me recently where I'm like, just, it's a good thing, but it's like more of just acceptance. Yeah. Of everything, your situation, where you're at. I think people get so hung up, especially in their 30s, on like, am I where I'm supposed to be? Yeah. Have I like made anything of my life? Like there's a lot of pressure. You start seeing where things go. It's like how people end up and you're like, am I behind or am I ahead? Like, where am I in this scheme? Yeah. But now I'm like, I sort of like see it where I'm like, it's not even like a giving up. It's like acceptance is totally different from letting something go and being like, whatever it is, it's going to be right. Yeah. And that it's a much better place to be than like constantly feeling like you're missing something. Yeah. Or like you haven't arrived yet. It's like, you're never going to arrive. Right. You're always going to be.
It's like, look guys, we're not peaking now.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's wherever goal. I was when I was 23. I'm amazed by where I'm at when I'm 33. I'll be amazed when I'm 43. It's like, it'll just keep going.
I like that. I like that idea of like continually being amazed.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and to just keep going.
Yeah, always. Because I'm like, that's the only the only way you won't make it is if you don't keep going. I'm like, it's so simple, but it's also like, it's easy to lose sight of that because people are like, oh, well, it'll never happen, or this will, whatever their dream or the thing they're missing.
Yeah.
They're missing.
Right. It's
like
I
feel
feel like
anything.
Right. You're not missing anything. I feel like I'm constantly asking myself, like, do I have enough grit to keep going? And like, I know that the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's just what it takes is like tune in to your grit. It's there and you just keep going. And sometimes the fighting through is what gets you to the thing that's so much more well worth it.
Totally.
Just in case anyone feels that way. And it's if things feel easy and things have come easily for you and you're like having this beautiful, easy life, amazing.
Cool.
Keep going. Be like an example for all of us.
Yeah.
My life pattern has been a little bit more like, can you weather the storm? Like, do you have enough grit? And my answer is just always yes. At some point I was wavering on that, but like now it's like, I think I can do it. And then if I prove to myself that I have enough grit to do it, then I get into these like really yummy spots where I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so should a hard time come again, I can do it. And it's going to be so much more well worth it on the other end. And that's just like humanness. I don't think that we're here all the time. Some people might be. I can't speak to them about them. But I think a lot of us are here to like feel humanness. Like we don't know happiness without knowing sadness. And I think that we are constantly getting to the other side and deciding to come right back because it's a bit boring over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what I mean about the acceptance part of it is like, I think I used to be like, you have to really fight to get and like have this toughness. And I'm like, it's kind of like the opposite. You can still have grit and be like, okay. Like, it's almost like relaxing into what's happening and not struggling about it. Is like its own form of grit because it's like, you don't let it throw you all around.
Yeah.
Like it would have when I was younger
to be,
or like it becomes self-destructive or it becomes like there's some reaction to it that's not warranted because people are so like humans feel so much. And I feel, and I've always been a very emotional person. So I'm like, I feel things really intensely.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, I think that's
not like attach so much meaning to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel things intensely.
Yeah.
And that's who
it's
I
going
am.
to change the way I feel.
Yeah. Like rather than that makes me good, bad, less than, more than, whatever. It's like, that's just who I am. And I know that I can get through this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like the way that you feel right now, you know that you'll feel completely different.
Yeah.
In a minute. And like, you just kind of have to wait it out. That's the acceptance part is like, just accepting, like, that's just how I feel right now.
Yeah.
And it's not forever. Nothing's forever, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Yeah. I mean, like, however you want to look at it, you can't hang on to any one version of your existence. That's the human part is like, it's always shifting.
Yeah, and your goal is just to live this life.
And feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And so I think those are the only two people that came in. Yeah. But I can't remember.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there was one more, but I can't place it, and neither can you. So maybe that was not. Maybe it's
I think there was another male. I just had someone tap me on the shoulder. That maybe is on Dad's side of family.
Oh, my grandfather.
Someone there. Okay,
yes.
Lovely.
My grandfather, my dad's dad came through.
Oh, lovely, good.
Yep.
That's right. It's a little bit like.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, hello." You guys both forgot me.
How rude.
No, he did come through. And I knew him a lot longer, but he was also spot on. Like you called out him being in the military and being like very buttoned up and like a really like intense guy.
Yeah.
Very like virtuous, but also like hard and was tough on my dad. Yeah. And like, so yeah, I think, oh my God, I'm going to cry now. But I was like, I asked him, was he proud of my dad?
Yeah. I love that.
And he was.
It's like, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They just are. Like, they have so much compassion and they see, hear, and know everything from the other side, but also, who they were in life and the effects that they had on all of us.
Yeah.
And they understand that more, and we will get to at some point understand that more on the other side. And it's not to punish us by any means. Yeah, lovely, fine. And it's not to punish us by any means, but it's just to give us like awareness of who we were in that lifetime, so that we can have even more compassion for the people that we left behind. But yeah, he's coming in a little bit, but being like very, very proud of your dad for doing something quite different than him.
That's right.
Yeah.
And being so different as dad. Yeah. I just got to hang out with my dad this weekend, and he brought my grandfather up, which he honestly really doesn't ever do. And it was a cool conversation. It's cool to like be able to talk more openly with your parent. Not everybody has that. But as my parents get older, especially my dad, I'm able to do that more with him. And he was, just talking about how different he was and how I am as a parent. Yeah. And just being really like, really proud of me too. My dad was, which I think is, because people wonder. I mean, I think that's cool that at the end, when you go to the other side, you get that perspective, because I think people are grappling with that all the time. Like, what did their life mean to people around them, good or bad? Like, I think I'm always just like, just tell me how you see me. You know, it's a weird question, but I'm like, how do you see me? Or what do you really think? Humans are so many faces.
Yeah. And we don't get to totally experience that as humans here in life. We can try to I could like try to truly see you and know you, but you're going to be a different person to me than you are to Jeremy, than you are to the boys, than you are to your sisters, right? Like, and we just are. Same with me. But when we get to the other side, so your people on the other side are like, they get it in the snap of a second, if not shorter than that. And they love it. Like,
I bet.
All of it. They're like, gosh, that's just Lindsay's soul. This is Lindsay's life. This is like her struggles. These are her triumphs. Like, and they just get to see it all, and be there to like support and love, and guide. Yes. But the guidance always truly comes from within. Like, they're never wanting something for us that we don't want for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best part to me, because I think the idea that someone else having a control is strange to me. I'm like, I would never want that. I would never want to be like, I'm somehow my moves are being messed with by somebody that's not here. Yeah. But I think a lot of people do think that, like, that things are out. You don't ever have control of your life, but I mean, neither does anyone else. Like, no one else has control of your life either. It's just this really chaotic thing that's happening. Yeah. But I think some people do feel like, oh, they're making this happen, or this person, I'm like cursed, or this is like my path is set. And it's not. It's like I like
you
that
have choices.
Yeah, that you always point that out, that you have choices, because I feel that in my own life. It's like it's always kind of up to me. Right.
And when we take ownership over that, we tend to get even closer towards the thing that our soul has been pulling us towards. Right. Or even more aligned is what we could say. Sure. But that like alignment is a feeling, right? It's like, oh, all of a sudden things have become a lot more clear because I made some choices. Sometimes I feel like people come to me and they're like, can you tell me which way to go? I'm like, can you tell me what you're the most interested in? Because I promise you that's the way.
It is. Yeah. I agree with that so much. That's one of the things me and my dad were talking about, was he was like talking about my business and my the way I live my life. But it's like, I was like, I never wanted any of this stuff. Like it wasn't like, that's how I see myself. I had those kind of thoughts when I was younger, but it wasn't anything like this. Yeah. And it's like, I'm always just doing what I'm most interested in. It continues to morph. And I'm like, I just try to be like, this is the thing I care about the most, or I'm interested in right now. You'll excel at it. You'll be great at it because you actually care. You can do it the other way too. You can like fight to get through a job that you don't like because it has security or it has these things. And I'm like, I think as a parent and a different parent, my dad was always kind of like, would love for you to get more stable, but he never says that, you know. He's always like, and now he's like in admiration of it. He's like, I just think it's so cool the way you just keep reinventing what you do and where you go, and it gets better and better and better. And I'm like, I think a lot of people, if they're looking for someone else to show them the way, they're going to miss, or sell themselves short in a way. Yeah. It's like, you should really just really be like, where am I happiest? Where am I like, this is...
And where can I like bravely take that next step, right? Because it takes a lot of courage and to kind of push through risk a little bit, or like the perceived risk.
Right.
And I'm not telling anyone to like quit their job and do this other thing, because I do think sometimes that's the advice that some psychic mediums give. But my advice is to at least start opening some doors into like the way you want to go, and just see what's there. And then when things become like, things will become more comfortable and clear as you start navigating that.
Totally. I think the key word there that you just said is perceived risk, because I think a lot of people think that because they have this certain type of job that there's no risk involved. I'm like, you can easily, that place could get acquired, you could get fired, that place, anything, AI could take your job, whatever it is, like something, there is no thing on this earth without risk. So you might as well do the thing that you actually are interested in, because it'll be weirdly easier. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, but I loved waiting tables, which sounds so stupid. Like, it's like a thing that's like, I just really had fun doing it. Yeah. I was like, this is like the most fun. Like, I love the idea of the restaurant. I love being in the restaurant. I love the energy of a restaurant. And I like how I feel when I do this job for a while. I don't feel that way anymore. But when I felt that way, I accidentally like went to the #1 restaurant in the world. Like it was just like that, like you just like jump so many levels, and you're not, I wasn't like, I was like, I hope I get it to the best restaurant. I never cared about it. I was just like, I just like to make money this way so that I can do the other things that I'm interested in, music and like really just hanging out. I keep like wanting to write this story about this girl who's trying to figure out what she wants to do in high school. And I'm like, all I really ever want to do is just hang out. Like, is there a job where I can just hang out? And I kind of have that job now.
I know you have that job.
Like, that's sort of what I get paid for, which is crazy.
Yeah, you're like a community builder.
I just like to hang out. I like to be around other brilliant minds and interesting people and have conversations. And I'm like, I love that. That's not a job that the guidance counselor presents you with. Like, but if you told them that honestly, they'd be like, well, you can't get paid to hang out. Yeah. But you can. You can get paid to do anything if you really like it.
Yeah. I love that so much. There's like so many. Oh gosh, I had this teacher. First of all, I waited tables too and did not love it. That was, and you know what I did love though was being a busser.
Oh yeah.
I listened to your podcast the other day with, oh my gosh,
Sola?
Yes. And I was like, oh gosh, that's
She's awesome.
Lindsay knows this about me. I'm not a kitchen person. Like I can't, like, it's like,
I love that you own that.
Pulling teeth.
I love that.
I did it for a really long time when my kids were first born, but it's kind of like playing pretend. Like I felt like I needed to be like, make them the meals and do the thing and have it like look good too. But what I liked about it was having it look good. Like I like an aesthetic. Mm-hmm. I am not a kitchen person at all though, but when I was, before I was a waiter, I was a busser. Then I was a waiter for like a hot minute and they were like, you're really bad. But I liked bussing the tables like after everyone left. I don't know what that is.
No, I get that.
That's maybe it was like this empty sort of energy. I was like, I'll just like organize and clean up and like the late night be on my own.
There's, I mean, I would like always, I did so many different jobs, but like you can just get into a rhythm when you're like, bussers don't have to necessarily interact. It's like a night off for your outward self. You can just be in the zone and like
in the zone. That was it.
It's
like
so good.
Whatever. And this was well. That was a bit of an accent. Before I did this clearly. So like it was before I was able to like totally shut things on or off and before I knew what I was doing too. Ooh. So like a bunch of people with a bunch of noises in a restaurant.
Yeah. It's like, the best.
I'm like, it's the worst.
It's the best. I'm like, oh, there's so many different energies. Like you can I have these, I like pop in and out of people's energy. Like when you're waiting tables, it's like so palpable what's going on at the table, the relationships that are happening. Like it's like it's a voyeuristic type of it's fascinating to me. And I like to be in that and then also insert myself into that and see how I can change it, manipulate it. And like, it's psychotic, honestly. I'm like, it's probably just some weird thing that I just like to meddle in people's whatever's happening in their world.
Like that realization though, because it's I'm just saying this for people listening to the podcast who are thinking like, gosh, like I'm doing this job in life, but what I really want to be doing is I have no idea. Like they truly are lost, which is a bunch of people that come see me. And it's little things like that. Like, what are the things that you've either done before or not? That's fine. But that you have found somewhat interesting that you're like, gosh, like for whatever reason, I thrive when I hang out. Like, and then what is it about that? Is it because you like love the conversation and like being around interesting people like Lindsay? Or for me, it would be like, well, I love hanging out in small groups because I feel like I get to pick up on things now, or like I can curate the conversation towards whatever. That was a bad example on my hand, but you get
No,
Lindsay's.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
There's this teacher, I think it was in second grade, that went around the room and was like, everyone tell me what you want to do when you're older. And a bunch of the girls, including myself, said vet. And she was like, none of you guys are going to be a vet. You're all going to be.
I like this lady. She's like,
she's intense.
No.
She's like, nope, none of you. She's like, that. I wanted to be a vet when I was little. I'm a teacher now. You're all going to be teachers. And I was.
What?
Yeah, you don't like her anymore, I know. No, I didn't. I was like heartbroken.
Oh my God.
But I think
That's
I like,
insane.
when I think about that, I'm like, why did I say vet? And that like played in my head, like fucked with me for quite a while. That
the fact that you said vet and didn't know why, or the fact that she said you were going to be a teacher?
She said that because when she said teacher, I went like, it sucked the energy out of me. And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. But I like liked this teacher, so like respected her a lot. Yes, I saw my future and I hated it. And it played a big role in my mind for like years to come. And then I had this realization,
like that your life was going to be something that you couldn't control.
Like,
and
yes,
no
like
matter
someone's
what,
gonna
this
tell
is
me
my
I
fate.
have to go teach second graders, which my son's in second grade right now, and they're like the most precious age ever. But like, I'm not me. Like, I don't want to do that. And I literally had a realization, I mean, just a few years ago that like, I'm not a teacher. Maybe like I teach a little bit, like with what I'm doing.
Totally.
I was like, but what is with the vet thing? I was like, for me, what I liked was the connection that I had with animals. Like I felt like at the time, at that age, and still do clearly, that I could like talk to them. Like I felt what they were feeling. Like that aspect of being a vet was so attractive to me, and it didn't deal with people. Now, like I do what I do and my talents are with people. Like people come through when I do my mediumship, occasionally pets. But I'm much more a people person as an adult than, I like my animals, not necessarily other people's animals.
Yeah.
I like them, just to be clear, but not, there's like an evolution that happened along the way, especially when I figured out what it is that I'm doing. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I like people. I can hang out with people.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to always like have a million things going on in my head because I can shut it off. And now like I'm a people person. I don't know why I went into that.
I mean, but I feel like your art too, in earlier iterations of yourself, you did a lot of like animal.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. All of my work was, I'd take video games out in nature and film them, and then very much solo work. Like go on like 5 mile, 3 mile long hikes, find a place to put my video camera. And I used to, for everyone listening that doesn't know, take these film stills of animals looking salt licks that I would cast in the form of typewriters. Sometimes cool. Cassette tapes, but mostly typewriters. I mean, it was cool. Like, I loved doing it, but it was very much lonely work.
Yeah.
And then I just had this like flip into this sort of work. But it was when I started doing this that I realized
you like people.
How much I like people. Yeah. I'm much more extroverted now than I ever was.
I mean, and I think that's like normal too, like the evolution of a person. Like I feel less extroverted as I get older. Yeah. And I'm like an extreme extrovert. I had a teacher who really, he's a huge mentor in my life and like just a brilliant person. But he was like, Lindsay's an extrovert that's really an introvert. Like she's I can do both, and I rely on people. Like, I really don't like to be alone. But as I get older, I'm less and less reliant on like reactions. I've always been in some sort of performance or theater or music where it's like your energy bouncing off someone else is like, that's why I love to hang out, because I'm like, I feel like it requires other people. It's not something I can do on my own, nor do I want to do anything on my own. But now it is kind of changing. And I mean, it'll continue to change and evolve, but I'm like, it exhausts me more than it used to. It used to be like, I could do this forever. I could just talk forever.
Yeah.
I could be out and like make people laugh forever. And I'm like, now it's like, it wears me out, where I'm like, oof.
Like you feel it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that for a while.
Yeah,
like I have to take a break. Yeah. I have to recharge in a way that I didn't used to.
Evolution of a soul.
Yeah.
Just like things, and like probably other things coming in for you. And
it is, because I feel like what it's made me realize is that it was almost like being as extroverted as I was is sort of avoiding things that I don't want to think about, or like being alone forces me to like, I immediately drop into like some headspace. I can get lost in there. And it's like, but now I'm not as afraid of that. I'm like, actually, there's so much valuable information there.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. It plays into what I write about and like stories and what I think about. And like, I'm not as afraid of it. Whereas before I'd be like, nope, let's like do something so we don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just, how long are we, I've been talking forever.
I know. a little bit long. Well, I'm going to ask you just a few more questions. Okay. Oh, I asked you that one already. I was going to ask, do you have any questions for yourself about connecting in?
I don't think I do. I kind of have just been playing around with it. Like,
yeah.
I don't think I have any, I'm trying not to put too many expectations on it.
Yeah.
I think the less I actively think about it, the better. But I do notice it like changing, whether I wanted to or not.
Yeah.
But I don't have any real questions, I don't think.
That's okay. I always end my readings with, do you have any other questions in general? But if you don't, no worries.
Well, maybe I do in general. I feel like, yeah, I would just say I'm going to turn it on you now because it's your 100th episode. What have you learned from the process of doing this podcast, and where do you see it going into the next phase?
That's
I feel like it is changing all the time.
Yeah. I've been talking Lindsay's ear off about this. The podcast is changing a little bit. We've got some like research readings that we've been doing that are going to sound a lot like what you guys have been hearing before, but then you've already heard some trickle in. And this is going to be like the impetus of the rest of them. There's going to be more conversation, like inviting people back on that I've either given readings to, or people in the community that want to come on and talk about spirituality or anything that's going on in their life. So you guys are going to be hearing a lot more of that and a little less readings on the podcast, though they will still be there.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm tired of giving them. Like, I absolutely love what I'm doing, but I have felt this like other thing coming in for quite some time. And this is going to be a part of it. Helping people connect in and even in a deeper way without giving, putting the readings on the podcast all the time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like even more advice, even more meditations, visualizations, conversations with people in the community that have taken those steps, kind of like Lindsay, who has like, your business has evolved too over the past 2 years. I'm not sure. We were talking to Vaughn earlier, who's still here. Hi, Vaughn. And I'm not sure if we said it in the very beginning of this podcast, but episode 1 was about 2 years ago. So a lot of things have changed for the both of us between those 2 years. And I can't stop talking to people who have like made changes for themselves. It just like lights me up so much. And so I want you guys to hear some of the conversations that I get to have sidebars on all the time with people who come up to me that are like, I love that you said this thing. It made me think of this thing. And now I'm doing this thing. It's incredible. It's endlessly fascinating to me. And I know that you guys are going to feel the same way. So I can't wait.
I know. I'm so excited for that because I really do think that kind of showing people what it's like to give the readings and have a reading is phase one. But I'm like, the way it feels like it's going now is like, here's how to make it a tool for yourself. And like people and fans of the show, or like people who are interested in what you do, or you in general, it's like that, giving them more of that and like seeing how that ripple effect goes out into the lives of the people that get readings. I think it's just a natural progression for the next thing. So I'm really excited for you. I'm just so proud of you. I think the podcast, I mean, it's an incredible thing to do, and it's such a bold thing to do. Yeah. And you make it look really easy and wonderful.
Well, it's easy because of you, to be honest. So Lindsay does. She
it's not.
She makes it easy because my mind doesn't work that way. But really, truly, thank you for partnering with me on this and for being my sounding board. And really, I just want to thank you for coming on and for just having a conversation with me and being the star of all of this, and for taking me on as a client, even if it was a little bit scary.
Oh my God. It was like scary. It wasn't scary. It was just like, how is this going to work? It was like puzzling. It was like, what is this? What's this like? This is different and new. And now, in like the way my business is evolving, I'm like, I'm actually trying to do more out of the box stuff, because I'm like, I'm lucky to get a lot of requests, and I'm like, well, that's not puzzling. Yeah. Like, I want something that's puzzling, and it's a challenge, because I'm like, you just see how much better you get from being exposed to something that's completely outside like of what you already do. Yeah. So thanks for doing that for me and for us all. You're the best. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you.